Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting of July 30th. Would you please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we have a public hearing for comments on proposed amendments to the General Assistance Ordinance, Appendices A through E. We'll open it up at this time. Nancy, would you like to comment?
Okay, I believe you guys have copies of what the numbers used to be, what they are now. Appendices A is the only one that's changing as of effective July 1st. The other ones that will be changing, we need to adopt them now, but they won't go into effect until October 1st, or through September 30th. On the overall maximums, Appendices A, all of the numbers have gone up a little bit. It used to be for one person, 661 is now 678. Two-person was 688, is now 704. Three-person was 873, is now 891. Four-person was $1,045, is now $1,191. Five-person is $1,141 and is now gone to $1,233. The additional, each additional person has stayed the same. That is still $68 per person. That one is effective immediately. And then down on the housing maximums, Appendices C, the food stays the same. There's no changes there at all. On the heated side, the weekly and the monthly have changed for bedrooms 1 through 4. It was 141 and 608 for one bedroom is now 147 and 633. For two bedroom was 180 and 773 up to 188 and 810. Three bedroom was 247 and 1,061 and is now 259 and 1,114. And for four bedroom, the weekly was 250, the monthly was 1,073. It is now weekly 266, monthly 1,143. Let's see, then we switch over to Appendices D, which is utilities. This goes for electricity and propane. If they do not have an electric hot water heater, if their hot water is based off of oil, that has gone up. Just for a number of people in the household is 5 and 6. For weekly, that has gone from $21 to $23.10, from $22.70 up to $25. Now on the monthly, I'm not quite sure why they didn't change the weekly on this one, but it starts with 4 people in the house. It went from $82.50 to $86, $90 to $99. $97.50 to $107. Now, if they do have a hot water heater, all of those have changed. It went from weekly and monthly. Weekly was $16.30, monthly $70, went to $19.10 and $82. Two-person $18.60 and $80 to $23.75 to $102. 21 and 90 is the old, $27.70 and $119 is the new for 3 people. $23.30 and $100 is gone up to $32.25 and $139. 5 people was $25.60 and $110, went up to $37.30 and $160. 6 people was $27.90 and $120, has gone up to $41 and $176. And I believe that's due to the heating oil prices, because that is what it's or electricity and stuff, because that's when they do have an electric hot water heater. All of those. And that's the only changes we have. The fuel and the food and the household and personal has not changed at all.
Nancy, the general assistance, that's these rates are set by the state, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we've been through this each year.
Yes, this is something we do on a yearly basis. Yeah.
It's a fait accompli, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're a little early this year just due to the changes for the overall that they wanted to put into place immediately.
What value is there on the selectmen approving this? Is it just that we're acknowledging that these rates have changed, the state has changed these rates?
Correct.
So it carries no other weight than we got the message?
Basically, yeah, and we let the state know, I let Augusta know that you've accepted these. If you do not want to accept these, you would have to perform your own search, do a study to see what numbers you want to use, and we would provide them that information.
Okay.
Now, do they set a minimum? I mean, let's say we come up with our own.
If you come up with your own and do not approve theirs, and you adopted that, that's what our town alone would use.
So they wouldn't.
As long as they have it in their books, what we've decided. This is the newest version that they have. They do have an older one that some towns did not adopt ours. They just kept the older one because they didn't want to change their numbers for the very small towns or plantations. But that's with very few citizens.
Does this affect at all our rate of reimbursement from the state?
No, we will still be 50%.
So, yes. And our local share goes up a little bit.
No.
incrementally.
No.
Only because we're paying out more.
But it's our ordinance that will change when we adopt this. Correct? I mean, it's in our ordinance, so what we're saying is that we've adopted the new revised rates into the Waterboro ordinance.
Correct.
Which is what you'll sign here if you approve that later in tonight's agenda.
Any other discussion? Anything from the public? Okay, I will close the meeting.
6:08.
This will be addressed later on tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, announcements. Have one. This is Christina's 25th wedding anniversary today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very nice. Okay, Brian Rita, Wadsworth Woodland Incorporated. Thank you for coming in, Brian.
Oh, thanks for letting me have an opportunity to come in and talk to you again. I trust you all got copies of the management plan. I won't test you on it. There's not going to be a quiz. But a few of the highlights, I was able to find most of the boundary lines on the lot and GPS'd them, which you can see on the map. Sebago Technics was pretty helpful in giving me copies of the surveys. And I did perform a timber cruise on the lot where I took a number of sample points and was able to statistically figure out what kind of timber volumes might be on the property. And I came up with roughly around $65,000 worth of timber on the lot. The lot went through the 47 fires, some of you folks probably know. And there's a lot of fire-scarred trees in there, trees that have evidence of being burned in the fire, and therefore some decay. Some have sealed over, but you can still see that there's a seam there, and obviously it doesn't help the tree. The tree can grow around it, and but it sort of speeds up the decay and lifespan of the tree. And there's a lot of decent wood that's grown in since the fire. So 65-year-old growth of young oak and hemlock, some white oak as well. But it's a lot that could definitely benefit from a timber harvest to remove some of those fire-scarred trees that, quite frankly, just aren't going to get any better and are mature in their own right. So I'll just read, what my recommendation was, I guess I should back up and just say that, really the plan just describes the woodlot as it is, the current conditions of the woodlot. And then, of course, I give a prescription of what could be done. And I've got individual stand prescriptions in here. There's really 2 different timber types. But the overall recommendation said I recommend that this lot undergo a selective harvest to remove some of the mature and or fire damaged trees. Such a harvest could remove around 1/3 of the trees and should yield around $15,000 to $20,000 in stumpage. That's what the landowner would receive. The boundary line should be well marked, and trees should be marked for harvest by a licensed forester. Trees should be marked based on health, damage from fire, ice, etc., maturity, and overall quality. Residual crop trees that are left to grow, should consist of good quality red oak, white pine, white oak, and red maple that should grow well after the harvest. As per recommendation from Maine Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, there should be no timber harvesting within 250 feet of the wetland associated with Bartlett Brook from May 15th to July 31st, which is tomorrow. Ideally the log could be harvested anytime from August to December, or March for that matter. But it's a nice piece of property. I think it's something that would be worth managing. It's got some high recreational use. There's an ATV trails and whatnot, but there's some hunting opportunities there as well. And by having the thinning, you'd have some trails in there and get a little sunlight on the ground in some places and try to start some regeneration. So like I said, I think it's a lot that could benefit from a harvest. So that's why I kind of came to talk to you tonight, just to see if the plan was something that you'd like to put into motion at some time.
The question I've got is I know you kind of lumped this all into one. When you look at, the picture that you've got, stand 1 and stand 2 and, all of that stuff which is laid out there. Is there a benefit to do, certainly there's a benefit from a cash perspective to do this all at once, but does it make sense to say we're going to do certain sections of this over a 2 or 3 year or a 5 year period, or is it a recommendation that, if you're going to do it, you do it?
Yeah, it can be done both ways. It's a big enough lot that you could justify a couple operations. But, it'd probably be more of a financial, request from the landowner, if that's something you wanted to do.
So is there an impact, we'll say, to the harvester? If we did it in multiple years, naturally they're not going to be there for a short period of time. It's going to be, okay, we're going to do this much this year, this much next year, etc. Would that impact the yield, the value of the yield, or
no? You'd get the same amount out of it. Just markets fluctuate.
Yeah.
And I have done that on other properties, but typically there's more of a reason. Like you need to either break up the income, or let's say one section would need to be harvested in the winter, where other areas could be harvested on bare ground. Where this lot's gone so long since it's been cut before, the only reason to break it up into multiple years would be at your request or for whatever.
What's the value of a winter harvest? I would think that you'd lose some stumpage in there because of the depth of the snow.
Yeah, but you have frozen ground to operate on, so less chance of impacting the soil, ruts, that sort of thing. Pretty well drained ground on this land. Obviously, there's a gravel pit on it, so it wouldn't require a winter harvest. Where it's wet, it's really wet, and you probably would never cut in there anyways. You know, mostly around Bartlett Brook.
Is there much growth down there in the wetland?
Not really. There's nice pine up to where it breaks off. I mean, the beavers must have been in there at some point and pretty well flooded it and killed it. Pretty much all the timber. There is one little island pine up there, but I don't think you'd ever get to it. Short of a helicopter or hovercraft or something. But no, I mean it's a nice lot, but it definitely could use a little weeding. Like I told you before when I was in here, it's forest is a lot like a garden, and you've got some ripe stuff out there. It may not be the best quality, but
So what would most of it go for? Is chips?
no, I mean there's pulpwood.
Pulp?
Chips should only, the only thing that should go through a chipper is something that can't be sold for a more valuable product, and pulp pays better than chips does. Chips is sort of, like I said, it really should be otherwise unmerchantable material.
Yeah.
And there's a good demand right now for pulpwood and firewood. Actually, the rates have gone up even since I did this plan, so I could probably tack on a little more value in that department.
So the value that you indicate here, that's what we would realize after all of the costs are paid, the cost of the person coming in to do the cutting and hauling, right?
Correct. Stumpage is it's the mill price minus all the costs, the logging costs, trucking costs, forestry. It's basically the net that the landowner would receive. And it's just kind of an estimate. By doing a bunch of small sample plots. Say if you did 10 tenth of an acre plots and you added it up, that would give you, say, what was on the given acre, just as an average. And then I can expand that over the whole property just to get a rough idea. That said, I mean, some of those trees with the fire scars in them, I don't have x-ray vision. It's hard to say. I mean, is this, usually it affects as far as you can see the seam, but, does it go up 8 feet or 10 feet? You don't know until you sever the tree. So there's a chance for some of the saw logs to actually be pulpwood and vice versa.
The sad part is that after the 47 fire, they figured that was all going to be no good, so they went in and cut just as much as they could cut, right?
Yeah, probably pine. They probably just cut the pine out because it's mostly hardwood. There's a few pockets of pine on it, but for the most part, it's a hardwood lot. But it's a pretty nice one. Look at the cover picture there. It's a pretty nice looking stand of hardwood. A lot of trees per acre. So it's a well stocked stand.
So an operation like this, how long would it take, you think, to do
Oh, it would be weeks. If you covered the whole, they got 114 acres of forest land roughly. It would probably take 3 to 4 weeks. If you removed, around a third of the volume, which is, a typical forest thinning. Like I said, if this was something that you were interested in going forth with, I mark all the trees that are going to be harvested, and certainly have a chance for you folks or somebody to come out and look at them and make sure we're all on the same page. So I've done a fair amount of harvesting with Doug Foglio for the land trust, and also some just clearing-ish stuff, the one we did here to expand for the salt shed.
Yeah, that's all gone, right? I mean, that's, you show the gravel pit and transfer
Yep.
station area, but I mean,
Yep. Yeah, I
that
excluded
area's
that.
already been
Yep.
harvested, so.
Yep, I excluded that from the plan. So there was still revenue left over owed to the town for those wood products there, and the plan came in, I want to say around $500 less than
It's probably something we need to put on our
Agenda.
list of things to do, right? Of, do we wanna move forward, how do we wanna approach it? Should it be over some period of time, or should we just bite the bullet and say X? And, I mean, this isn't the only piece of property that the town owns that probably needs some attention, but I think the land trust has a bunch of them, and that used to be town property, right, that now is at least getting some attention, but
Yep.
we probably still have an inventory of properties that at some point in time have to be addressed, but
Well, it's certainly a good way to raise some revenue because it's out there and it's growing and it's going to grow back. It's trees are the only renewable resource we have, really. So,
Well, it's amazing when you go in thin, how fast the other trees come back and grow,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
It's amazing.
Should promote some deer growth in there too, on a fresh cutoff.
Yep. No, that's right. I mean, it gives different levels of feed for all sorts of animals. A stagnant forest with a little light hitting the ground is one that doesn't have a lot to offer for wildlife. So.
Any other questions?
Of course, it's been 65 years since the fire. I just want to remind you that that's how fast it's come back.
Well, no, but you will be surprised with the growth that is there. When
Yeah.
you put some sunlight on it and knock some of those other trees out of the way and the
Yeah.
nutrients, it does make quite a difference. Quite a difference.
And I'd be available to do a site visit sometime if you guys just wanted to have a look at it and do a little walkthrough. If you're kicking tires around or something. About the
I think the
idea.
bottom line is that it's an asset that the town owns that has to be managed. And we haven't managed it other than
Right.
digging a big hole up there and excavating gravel out of it. So,
And that's something too we need to look at is,
the future.
where are they
That's
as
right.
far as expanding there, and if they're going to expand, then it needs to be cleared.
Yep.
Not just selectively, but cleared.
Right.
So, we got some issues to look at there.
Yep.
Thank you for coming in.
Great.
and
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
We will get back to you, okay?
Sounds good.
All
All right.
right.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Brian.
Okay. Hearing your delegation. Yes, Paul.
I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight, but I got an issue that has come up to me many, many times, and I thought maybe I should bring it to you and maybe we could resolve it. Chadburn Ridge Road and New Dam Road, we spent a lot of money there to redo that road, that intersection. And then we go ahead and stick 3 boulders at the end of it and paint them orange so that I guess people aren't going to go on the other side of the stop sign. It's ugly, it's not professional, and it should be removed. If you go up there and look, you'll see where people have tried to go around that rock to make a hard right turn, because anybody coming down Chadburn Ridge Road, they put a little more asphalt on the other side, but they don't use it. They hug the center line. So if you're at that intersection, and you make a hard right, you'll see a hole there that's probably this deep, this long, where their tires go in, and in order to go up the road. And I've talked to a lot of people in Arrowhead that are really disgusted with it. It looked unprofessional. It looked like some kid did it, not an excavator. I mean, you don't put rocks to guide people, and especially 2 of the rocks are before the stop sign even. Nobody's going to drive on the right-hand side of the stop sign and get down over that hill to make a right-hand turn. But you got these 3 big boulders. You go by there every day, John.
Oh, yeah.
It's ugly. It is ugly.
Yeah.
It's not professional. It should be removed. That little bit of curve right there should be tied so that these people's tires aren't going to go in there and ruin their shock absorbers or whatever it is. Because any car coming down Chadburn Ridge Road, they stay on the center line and they cut that corner hard. And you can't leave until they make that turn, because if you do, your tire goes in the hole. Now to spend 60 or 70, I don't know how much we spent there, $60,000, $70,000, whatever it was, on that road, and then turn around and stick something on the end of it like that, is stupid. And it should be taken out of there, and that should be, a little bit of tire should be just angled a little bit. You're only talking about a yard. You're not talking about hundreds of dollars here. You're talking about a yard of tire, just so that when they make that hard right, their tire doesn't go in that hole.
That's coming
Out of
Arrowhead.
New Dam Road onto Chadman Ridge Road. And I go by there so many times a day. And I've seen it, and it just disgusted me so much. I just figured, you know, I haven't been here in a year. But, you know, there's a limit, you know. And it needs to be resolved. The rock needs to be removed. The tire needs to be angled a little bit on that right-hand side so that people can go there without dropping their rear end into the road. And you'll see it if you go up there. There's a hole this deep where they've tried to go around. And, you know, they put tire on the other side, but people don't use it. I mean, they don't make the wide turn. They stay right in the center of that road, you know. And so it's not a good situation, and it looks terrible. It looks so unprofessional. We need to fix it.
I haven't been up there, but.
Well,
I'm just curious.
John can tell you.
Curious as to who painted it orange. Did we do that, or did
No, the road commission did that.
we did?
Yeah, I think those rocks are put there because people are going out around the sign.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
mean, everybody,
They were making that, they were driving actually right across the gravel. So as they come up, instead of swinging a little bit to the left, they were just trying to cut across and just make a sweep right
And
around
not
that
stopping
corner
and
real-
not slowing
without
down.
stopping at the stop sign, and would run into the same problem as we had before from people coming down Chadman Ridge Road that end up in that collision there, because that was one of the problems he was trying to counteract.
Yeah.
Now, I know the rocks are unsightly, I agree with you. The last time I spoke with Doug, he wanted to get some guardrails to put in there, but he was looking at, you know, the budget and how much that was gonna cost. There is a good hole there.
Yeah.
Now, because right off the lead rock, as you make your right-hand turn, because I've dropped into that with my rear tire before. Now, to the tire on the other side, partly that was done to aid the school buses in making the left turn off Chadman Ridge Road into New Dam Road. Okay? And so...
The thing is, two of the rocks are in front of the stop sign. They're absolutely worthless. I mean, nobody's going to drive on the right-hand side of that stop sign and go across that dip to get to the road. I mean, nobody would do that in their right mind, unless they were drunk, you know. But and one of them is right just behind the stop. Now, when they changed that configuration, the road used to do this, and they changed it to this. So that automatically makes them go to a straighter stop. You know, they changed it to
Hopefully it does. But
Well,
I know.
and I'll tell you right now, it's not doing it. I see people come out of there all the time, and if there's nobody coming to the left, and they can already see down the road to the right, if you think they're gonna stop there, I don't care if you put rock painted up and go 3 stories. They're gonna go right through it. They do it every day. If you park up there one day and watch them and count how many stop and how many don't, there'll be more that don't. And I'm sorry to say that, but those rocks aren't gonna change a thing. The only thing that's gonna do is for somebody that might have a heart attack or something coming down the other way and hit them rocks straight head on, we're gonna be liable for something, because you're not supposed to use boulders at intersections to curb traffic. I mean, you know, the state has laws where they have to have collapsible ends to their guardrails, because when people hit them head on, they want them to collapse so they don't kill people. And here we are sticking boulders out there the size of half a car, you know, and you know, so it's just counterproductive, and it's ugly.
Those things actually impair your vision too on that corner. When I'm driving wife's car, which is very low. That actually, you can't really see so much coming up either way.
Exactly.
You can't see you can't see them. You know?
I mean, that's I understand the reason for putting them there. I saw it as kind of an interim measure that has kind of gone out now over a year and a half.
Yeah.
But I saw it as an interim measure to get people to come to a stop there, and rather than kind of screeching around the corner. But I think a guardrail would do the job.
Just on the edge,
would not be
put a
outside.
guardrail just on the back side of that stop sign. But you got to tower a little bit on that corner. You can't make them pull into the traffic to make a right turn. I mean, all you're going to need is maybe a yard of asphalt, and you'll see a hole there. I mean, the hole, and everybody hits it. I've hit it 1,000 times, you know, with my truck, and I've tried to make a wide turn, you know, and you can't hardly miss it unless you really go into the lane of traffic that's coming down, or if there's nobody coming in, you can go into it. But you know, it's just not the right thing to do. For something to spend that much money, I mean, we should make that look a little bit better than that.
Okay, we will look into it.
Thank you.
Did you have something else?
No, I didn't.
Just one thing, Bob?
Yeah, well, I'm working on a couple others. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We have in correspondence the treasury reports. Representative Libby's newsletter, Senator Tuttle's newsletter, and we have a confidential information from Attorney Cole regarding a legal matter. Okay, we have reports and staff initiatives.
So, are we on the general assistance, Dave?
Yeah, he just went to get
Yeah.
Nancy.
Yes.
I will move that we accept the updated rates as presented to us.
Okay, it's been moved to accept the updated rates as presented to us. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it for the purpose of discussion.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Discussion. Gordon?
We have been, for the past several years that I'm aware of, trying to come up with ways to reduce the amount that we have to pay out in terms of general assistance. And it would seem as though this provides us with an opportunity, maybe not necessarily to reduce the amount, but at least to keep it at a constant level, and to raise those particular allotments just because the state says to, I'm not sure is the best thing for, you know, the town. I think that, you know, we need to be as frugal as we can be with the tax dollar, and if what we are providing now is adequate, then I really don't see the need to increase it by, you know, what was presented.
I mean, I think in certain areas, such as food, in fuel, as prices go up, and people's income, they don't have the income to pay for it. That's not the place to do it. I think if we're gonna possibly, and you find me wrong here, if we're gonna save money maybe in this area, it may be in the whole housing policy as to what housing we pay for. But when a person's here in Waterboro and they can't, they really have a hard time getting by and right on the edge, a couple bucks here for electricity, a couple bucks there may make it for them. And cutting that corner, I don't think does you much good. Maybe it's some of the housing area that we can save money. I don't know. You know, Nancy, maybe I'm all wrong here.
Quite the whole gist of what was,
It's been moved and seconded to accept the changes, okay?
Mm-hmm,
And now we're in discussion.
okay,
And Gordon is looking at holding the line and not necessarily approving the whole package, maybe doing our own,
doing your own study.
yeah.
I'm not even advocating doing our own study, but
We
just
need to do one or the other.
keep this, well, you said one of the other towns kept it the same as it was
We've
last year, the
already-
status quo, so.
The 2005 ordinance they kept. Each year, they've just never, they've always decided to keep it then. We've already gone to the newer one, and these are the updates on a yearly basis. I can call and find out, but I don't believe we can go back to the 2005.
I'm not suggesting we go back to.
But I mean, it's
2005.
that ordinance or this ordinance. It's,
In 2005, we approved it, so then that became our ordinance,
it
correct?
became our new one, yeah, and each
Yeah,
year we've
so-
gone with a new one, which took us out of that 2005.
So we're operating right now on a set of figures.
Mhm.
Why can't we continue to operate on those figures? Why do we have to go back to 2005?
No, I'm saying I would call and ask if it has to be, if we can keep what we have now, if you don't want to go with the increase, or if that we have to revert back to the, I'll call DHS in Augusta and find out.
I think
What
what
our
you're saying is
options
the
are.
2005 ordinance was our ordinance
Back
made up with whatever payment fees or schedules were in it
Mhm.
were created by the town at that time.
Correct.
In 2005, we adopted the state
Mm-hmm.
recommended minimums,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we've just automatically
We've
kind
done
of
it every year.
done it every year. So I think the question really has to be is, what if we don't do it again? What if we say, we're gonna keep our ordinance that was approved last July,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're not gonna make any additions to that this year. What is that from the state's perspective? What is the risk of doing that?
I don't know that there is really a risk. I've never had it happen, so I haven't had the experience of going through it yet. I could make the phone call tomorrow because they're closed now, and find out the exact answer on that.
Can the state withhold the circuit breaker, or change the circuit breaker that you end up paying for it anyway? I mean, one of the things, once we've paid a certain amount and the state kicks in, if we're not in the state guidelines, following the state guidelines, can they withhold?
No, the circuit breaker has nothing to do with the GA
Yeah,
numbers.
there's nothing to do
It's a
with it.
totally separate program.
The reimbursement, would we lose our 50% reimbursement
I
if we
don't
don't
believe
use
so.
their
I
numbers?
So
don't
would it
believe so,
go
but I
to
will definitely
49?
double check.
Would it go to 49 because we're, I mean, you're 2.5%, there's a 2.5% increase built into this thing,
Mhm.
right? Just in the first numbers, I'm not sure, if you start looking at some of the other numbers, whether they're greater than that or not, but the fact of the matter is that, this has gone 2.5%, 2.5%, 2.5% for the last 4 or 5 years. Now, I understand that, I mean, at the same time, we were holding employees' pay here to no increases and actually cut them back by 20% because we cut them down to 4 days. But at the same time, we're throwing 2.5% more money at our general assistance account. I mean, look at the numbers. You go back, 5, 7, 8 years, we spent $20,000, $30,000 in GA. Now we're spending $120,000. So, and I understand it's tough times, but we get employees that we don't treat that way.
And to John's point, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about the food and fuel, but we also have York County Community Action that has that fuel assistance program. We have a fuel assistance program here at the town hall that's money's raised for every year. They can get food subsidies from Department of Health and Human Services with the food cards and or the food stamp program.
We do not pass out hardly any money on food now.
Yeah, I was going to
Because of
say,
the food stamps.
when you
That
look
number
at-
is so
when you
low.
look at the last report that you gave us, it really is centered around housing.
It is. Matter of fact, I had a copy in my hands when I was in here. It's on my desk now of this year's, because it ended in June. I had the numbers all totaled with me, but I can go grab them if you want, and it'll tell you how much we spent in each category.
The sad part of this is that if we raise the rates by 2.5–3% on housing reimbursement, that's going to a landlord. That's not going to the renter,
Correct.
right? I mean, that's.
It keeps them in their house.
That's what I was thinking
but,
too.
I understand, but
yeah,
I mean,
it goes
there's a
to
lot of rents in a lot of communities that haven't raised the amount of money in years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will probably guarantee that most
I haven't
of
heard.
these have.
Well, I mean,
And
you
the
know,
ones
I mean,
that-
one of the things I was thinking as far as the housing, if you're increasing housing so you can pay a landlord, so you can keep people in Waterboro, and they can't get jobs because they don't have a car to get the benefit into Sanford and to Portland, but they have the luxury of living out here, and we're paying that. That's where I think where we can make some changes possibly in policy. But once you have people here and they're trying to get by and make those electricity payments and you know, then
And the
I think
9-month
that's
rule for
critical.
housing is still in effect. That carried over.
I just think that there's a lot of people that are not on any type of subsidized benefits that are also struggling. They're struggling to make those electricity payments. They're struggling to, pay that oil bill. And
Especially since
I
life goes down
think that
every
with
year.
other plans out there to assist, like the fuel assistance programs and stuff, if they would have cut those, then I'd probably be more inclined to say, well, we've got to do something to help people out. But
I mean, if you
look
look
at
at
some alternatives,
if you look at electricity, right? I mean, since it has now become very competitive in this state for different people to sell electricity, the rates have gone down 7 or 8%. This has got an increase in it. So, I mean, I understand fuel,
Both sides.
okay, is with the market, right? But electricity has been going down since electricity. Maine is in the pool now. I mean, you've got, Dead River's selling electricity. Those guys have driven.
major operation here in Maine that was showcased on the news where they're creating electricity from cow refuse. They get this big plant that they got and they're selling.
So anyway,
Tons of
I guess my point is that it's. I just find it interesting when these things get passed down to us that there's. It's just like everything's going up the same. Right?
Okay, we have a motion and it's been seconded to accept the changes in the General Assistance Ordinance. Those in favor of voting for the change? Against? Okay, so
I guess
it stays, and you can make a phone call, I would say.
And I think what we need is feedback from that phone call.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'll take care of that tomorrow.
Selectmen reports. Gordon, you have anything to say? A report?
With the exception of, I think Fay Park is looking, very nice. I had stopped up there last Wednesday when they were supposed to have their meeting, only I had another commitment, so I wasn't able to stay, for the barbecue that they had planned, but I did go up and I met with somebody from the land trust that happened to be up there, and they were, doing some planting of flowers and shrubbery and stuff like that, and I see that there's a rest room facility that is now present there, and I think that we really need to have our contract deputy, who has been making more frequent checks, is to maintain that diligence, because when I was speaking to the land trust person, they had found one of the picnic tables thrown in the lake So there was, with the help, I guess, of another gentleman who happened to be up there kayaking, they got it back and they've got it placed up. But as far as the park itself, it was all picked up. It looked really nice.
Good.
So I think that there are some positive steps being taken. We just need to stay on top of it.
Dennis, you have anything?
No.
John?
I was at the Land Trust meeting, and it is really nice out at Cloud Bay Park. There's some beer cans and stuff like that out there that need to periodically be picked up, and the Land Trust is getting on that. Matter of fact, there's some people, I'll probably go out there and volunteer to pick up some of that stuff. Not probably, my wife and I are going to do that. But the annual meeting was great. And I tell you, they had some great desserts. You got to go next year. And they've done a great job out there. It's a town asset for sure.
It is a beautiful area. It's just so secluded, and it's a very nice area. All right. Town administrator.
A few things here. One thing, I could use some direction from the board. I don't need it tonight, perhaps the next meeting. Whether or not you want me to start up conversations with Limerick on what Doug tells me is 3/4 of a mile of Deering Ridge Road that we've plowed for years, and we haven't built them for years.
Lyman.
Oh, sorry, Lyman, okay. My mistake. Happy to resurrect.
Limerick's willing to pay for it, though.
Yeah.
That's right.
They got money.
Okay. Happy to start that conversation if you want me to do that. More to the routine here, things I've been doing. Had a staff meeting for pretty much town hall staff only today, went very well. We'll start regular department head meetings as well soon. I think the staff meetings here will be probably every other week for at least the first few months. I had a tour with Doug Foglio for 3 hours last week. I went to some CDBG grant training for the RSU 57 water line extension coming up in the months to come. I had a tour with Mike DeAngelis in the Recreation Department yesterday. I went out with Mark, Code Enforcement Officer, today for a couple hours. Going to the bank tomorrow to sign the paperwork, do all the bonding and that sort of thing. Lunch tomorrow with the sheriff. We open fire department and truck bids tomorrow at 4:30 here, if the public or any selectmen wish to attend. I'm going to try and go to the road review committee tomorrow night. Thursday, a tour of the town with the fire chief, and you folks got that legal bill today in your mail for the county budget committee. And we also got a letter today from the town attorney regarding town ordinances cannot regulate the location of wells in town. It's something that I guess either 2020 committee or planning board or planning office has been looking at. Regulated by the PUC, so our ordinances cannot supersede that.
This is regarding the water district.
Right. The locations of the wells are something that we cannot say yea or nay to. That's it from me, Mr. Chairman.
That, we need to have some more discussion with regard to that thing. I mean, the issue is with, if we can't have some influence over where wells go, we're gonna get into the same thing of, well, we're gonna put a well here and you guys gotta come up with a wellhead protection zone to protect it. Okay, so I think there's gotta be maybe some further discussion.
They must have informed us in the last one it was a problem, I assume.
Yeah,
but we just-
after.
Oh, after. But they must have public hearings for these, so we need to get...
There's a, you know, they knew that they had to increase their output. So they looked at several different spots, did several pieces of testing. One happened to be up here. One was down at one of the original sites, which was on the Straw Mill Brick Road, which is where they settled in and created an additional production well. When all is said and done, after they decide, well, we're going to put it down there, then it's, okay, we need the wellhead protection zone changed, even though there was a wellhead protection zone in the zoning. So that kind of stimulated some of the discussion of, you know, whether the water district has the unilateral authority to go out and determine where they're gonna increase their production from and what influence the town has with regard to that. So I'd like to, I guess with regard to the attorney's answer, would be interested in what the question was. Because the PUC doesn't regulate where wells are, they regulate the sale and the price of water.
There was 2 statutes that they quoted. And I thought one of them, as it read, was that the town had no
That's the way I read it.
over wells.
You need to be proactive and get in the pipeline, I guess, early when they're even thinking about needing more water. Be a fly on the wall, if you will.
I certainly would,
I think it's an ongoing discussion, and I think we
Yeah.
have to.
yeah.
So I'm sure the attorney's communication will hit the communications list here at some point, but I'd just like to understand what was the question that we asked.
It's in their baskets now, right, Christina?
It will be in their pockets for the next meeting, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any more discussion on that situation? No? Did, in your travels with Doug and Mike, did the discussion of mowing, and right now the Parks and Rec do a lot of mowing.
Right.
And how is that gonna come under the Public Works? Is that gonna be transferred over?
Mowing roadsides,
No, this is,
just mowing in general.
yeah, grounds.
We talked about a lot of different things, but I don't have any resolution to those yet. That'll do, for sure. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. Okay. We need to add this, request for poverty abatement on the new business. I have a,
Yeah, I'd move that we add to the agenda under new business, request, vote and discuss and vote poverty abatement request.
I'll second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to add a poverty abatement issue to under new business. Those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
4-0.
All right, new business. Discuss and vote on board and committee appointments. Has everyone got a list right there? Any
There's
quick
only one in here, right?
one?
Right.
Tim Neal, who was requested to go on the transfer station recycling committee.
Okay,
I'll move that we appoint him to that committee.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I made a motion to appoint Tim Neal
Okay.
to the transfer
Yeah.
as per his request.
I would second that.
okay, been moved and seconded that we approve of Ken Neal going on the transfer recycling committee. Those in favor? Okay, 4-0. All right, request for poverty abatement. What's your desires on that?
Well, I would move that the request for poverty abatement be denied for the following reason. Although the town has issued tax liens for this property due to back taxes not being paid, we have not reached the point where we have 3 matured tax liens and therefore would not take this property to auction. And based on the feedback that we got, that this property will more than likely be sold, I would think that we would deal with it after if it is not sold by the time we have 3 matured tax liens, then I guess we would revisit the abatement, or could revisit the abatement, but for now, I would suggest that, I would recommend that we deny.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we deny the request for poverty abatement. Those in favor? Okay. Old business. I don't see anything yet. Anybody got anything they want to bring up?
Just one thing that's been kind of a sticking point for the last few years. We voted and approved, and it's part of the ordinance, to have certain areas in town that fall under the purview of Parks and Rec to be posted as drug-free zones, so that any drug activity that takes place there has enhanced penalties under the state law. To date, I think there's only been a couple of those places that have been posted, and I checked again down at the Go-Wheel Park, and there still was not a posting down there. And I mean, this is just going on year after year. It seems like I'm kind of beating a dead horse, and it's prominently displayed at Friendship Park, and I think the other little park that's down in South Waterboro. But there's nothing at Go-Wheel Park right now.
Do you know of any other area, Gordon? I mean, it's the Lions Club or anything like that?
Well, if the Lions Club Park they would have to make a request, because that's not that's not town property.
Yeah.
And then we could post it. But on town property, we have the authority by statute to post that, as long as the signs conform to the statute, and the one at Friendship Park does, because I had obtained a photograph of an approved sign that was approved by the Commissioner of Public Safety, and had given it to the prior town administrator, and that's the template that they used to have these signs made up.
Okay.
If we follow the verbiage on the friendship sign, we're all good.
Supposedly, the signs have already been made and they're standardized. It's just a matter of getting it posted down there.
Do you know where they are?
I have no idea.
Okay.
The last time I spoke with the director of parks was that was going to be taken care of, and that he had posted, the other places. And I just don't see that it's taken place, unless it's hidden behind a tree down there, and I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, minutes for the July 23rd meeting. Need to be signed and approved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Those in favor? Okay. Kind of decisions, discuss making policy changes relative to the use of social media. Gordon, would you like to?
I'm still pulling together some research material, and I hope within the next week and a half to 2 weeks that I'll have a draft ready for the board to look at. I still haven't had an opportunity as yet to sit with the town administrator, who's certainly got a lot on his plate. That as things start to mellow out a little bit, I want to meet with him as well and get his.
That article in the Main Townsman was interesting. It's an eye-opener. I mean, it's like everything else. Just one thing grows into something else,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, it seemed to all hit at once. The front page of the Journal had it on there as well. And I guess they looked into some other towns that were having, similar growing pains, if you will, and they're, thinking of adopting one. So it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. I know that the reporter asked me specifically if we were trying to ban that, and I said, no, I said, that's not our intent at all. I said, our intent is just to regulate, to ensure that the best possible image of the town is presented, and that we're not placed at risk by a comment from an employee or someone that's associated with the town in either a quasi or official capacity.
Okay, Public Works is in the works, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay, week's action list, discussion of agenda items.
Week's action list, Christina, if you can half bake, I put in my motion for this abatement, that has to be on this for the reason of denial. So, that has to be done, and then we need to sign it as a denial.
Also, I would think that Nancy would have a response from Augusta on
Right.
the General Assistance, so that should be on the agenda.
How about, based on the discussion that we had tonight with Brian, I think there's probably and I'm not sure we gotta do it this next week, but we need to start to pull together, what is it that the town still has for an inventory of land? The land trust kind of cherry-picked what they wanted a number of years ago, and that all went over to the land trust, right? But there's still pieces of property
Right.
that the town owns that we probably ought to be looking at, if nothing more, managing, instead of just leaving them there as
Right.
dominant, right? So, like I said, we don't have to put it on next week's agenda, but we ought to be starting to put that on a list of items that, and maybe have another session with the land trust. Are there any other properties within the town of Waterboro that the land trust may now, in a round two, see that they may have an interest in?
Does the board have a good map of all the town parcels?
I think there was at one time, was a pretty good index of it, but I'm not sure where that is now.
Could that be something you sort of explore, Christina?
We should get that map to start with.
There's a ton of lots up in Lake Arrowhead which are gonna come up and, you know, that were non-buildable. There's 95 lots up there that went into the swap pool years ago, that people could swap a non-buildable lot for a buildable lot, and those became the town of Waterboro. So there's a bunch of stuff that's up in Lake Arrowhead, but
All the swamps.
yeah, unbuildable stuff. It might not be swamp, but it might have a grade. It have a vertical grade in it.
This request from the 12-town group,
Yeah, I think we need to put that on the agenda.
put that on the agenda for next week.
The other thing is, and David, maybe I just can't find it, but the bylaws for the Economic Development Committee, I couldn't find those on the website.
I have a binder. I think.
If somebody can send them to me, I would appreciate it, because I think they need a little bit of a tweaking as we go forward here.
Which I think brings up a good point when we're discussing land, that we ought to have it in the back of our mind that there are other entities besides the land trust that, you know, like the economic development and the 2020, that may have some future earmarks on.
No, I think that's why we need to put together a good index of where we are.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that we need to put on the next week's agenda? Okay, items needing signature, the minutes of the July 23rd meeting,
This abatement.
the abatement. I don't think we need the GA elements. I think
We said
vote
no to that, so you
down.
won't be signing
Yeah.
that, right?
Okay. Reminders. Tomorrow night, I have a message here that the road review committee is gonna have a workshop. It's been scheduled for Wednesday, July 31st. Okay, am I reading this wrong?
7, not 6.
Okay. All right. So there's gonna be a meeting this Wednesday, the 31st at 7 o'clock. And that is in the Old Town Hall, I think, right?
Yes,
Upstairs.
in the road review
Yeah, okay.
committee
Yep,
meeting.
they got a room upstairs.
Okay. On Thursday, August 1st at 5 PM is the Conservation Committee in the Old Town Hall. Monday, August 5th at 5 PM, the Community Gardens Committee in the Old Town Hall. Tuesday, August 6th at 6 PM, the Selectmen's meeting, and the reporting is the RSU 57. Wednesday, August 7th is the Planning Board at 7 o'clock in the Town Hall, this right here. Thursday, August 8th at 11:30 is the Senior Luncheon at the Snowmobile Club. Saturday, August 10th at 8:30 is the Cribbage Tournament at the Old Town Hall. Monday, August 12th is at 5:15, that's a time change, 5:15 is the 2020 Master Planning Committee at the Central Fire Station. Monday, August 12th at 6:30 is the 12-town group. And this room here. Monday, August 12th at 7 PM is the Cemetery Committee in the Old Town Hall. And Tuesday, August 13th is the Selectmen's meeting. Anything else that needs to be announced?
I did just remember that the sheriff's department's supposed to have an appointment with you for next week,
Okay.
Tuesday.
All right.
Should be the 6th.
So be it. Okay, I have a motion for adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Second? Okay. Been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Those in favor? Okay. Good night.
Thank you, Ira.